For the longest time, I've been pretty honest about my identity. My name is Hunter Avalone. I am a white male. I am 23 years old, almost 24 years old, and my social security number is... It's also not hard to tell that I'm very obviously a skinny, white boy, twink-looking guy, but I've also been very honest about the fact that I am black where it counts. And although I may be quite honest about who I am as a man and who I am as a person, there are some that are not so honest. Now, I'm sure by now you are all familiar with the term cultural appropriation, and I'll be honest, I have yet to see an actual convincing, real-life example of cultural appropriation. Even as I have kind of began my political journey from being much more farther right to moving more towards the center-left libertarian, I still have not been convinced that any example of cultural appropriation is actually cultural appropriation. I do think that in theory, cultural appropriation is a real thing. Like, obviously there are ways that you can appropriate and mock another person's culture, of course, but all the real world examples, all the times that I see people being condemned for cultural appropriation, it's always some white American girl who dared to wear a Chinese product. Can y'all stop reaching? Like, it's not a big deal if somebody wears their hair in dreadlocks or some shit. So yeah, pretty much anytime I see condemnation of cultural appropriation, the examples of that cultural appropriation don't really cut it with me. However, this recent story, for the first time, I honestly believe this is a blatant display of cultural appropriation, if you will. It's actually a little bit more than that, but honestly, this entire story is mind-boggling. Y'all remember Rachel Dolezal? Remember that white woman who claimed she was trans black or something? Remember this lady that would forever be used as a straw man by the right of what would happen if we dared to give trans people human rights? Well, it appears we have a 2020 edition of Rachel Dolezal. This is Professor Jessica Krug. She was a professor at George Washington University, and she has recently come forward allegedly admitting in a Medium post that she is actually a white woman from Kansas who has been pretending to be black. And to add insult to injury, she was not only an activist, but a professor of African American history. So, if I was a student at George Washington University, I would be wanting my money back right away. Wait, you mean to tell me that I'm paying thousands upon thousands of dollars in tuition to hear some white woman spout off about African American history? That's like paying to have Ice Cube teach me about the history of suburban Kansas life. Obviously, I'm partially joking. You don't actually have to be black to have a really good understanding of African American history. However, if the course was sold to these students as an African American history course taught by a black woman, then yeah, I think that's a problem. And I actually think they might want to get their money back. In a case eerily reminiscent to Rachel Dolezal, Jessica A. Krug took financial support from cultural institutions for a book she wrote about fugitive resistance to the transatlantic slave trade. So not only was she lying, but she was using these lies to get ahead in her career. She was quite literally appropriating the identity of black people in order to make money and in order to receive financial support for a book she was writing about the slave trade. In her book, she talks about the slave trade as if they are her ancestors, unnamed, who bled life into a future they had no reason to believe could or should exist. My brother, those whose names I cannot say for their own safety. I mean, this is really, really disgusting shit. I mean, she's writing about this as if her family were victims of the transatlantic slave trade, but in fact, she was just a white woman from Kansas pretending to be black. Here she is with her book, and let's be honest, like, she doesn't really look that black. She kind of looks like a white woman with a tan, but I could also kind of see people believing if she said she was, like, partially black, maybe? I don't know. Who am I to judge? About a year and a half after her book was published, she posted a Medium post, which is literally like the transracial manifesto. So this is allegedly written by Jessica Krug herself, and she is admitting that for the better part of my adult life, every move I've made, every relationship I've formed has been rooted in a toxic soil of lies. And I mean, she scrolls through here calling herself a coward, talking about how there is no ignorance, no innocence, nothing to claim, nothing to defend. I have moved wrong in every way for years. She talks about how she has hidden her lived experience as a white Jewish child in suburban Kansas City under various assumed identities within a blackness that I had no right to claim. First, North African blackness, then US rooted blackness, then Caribbean rooted Bronx blackness. I think this is a woman who has some serious problems here. I mean, she quite literally is just jumping from false identity to false identity. The guilt that must have plagued this dumb woman. Holy crap. I mean, she's over here taking money. She's teaching a course all under the disguise, essentially, of an African-American woman. What do you guys think? Is this not a legit example of cultural appropriation? Someone lying about being black in order to get ahead in their career and make money? It's pretty gross. Even back in her days before she came clean about her lies, when she was like a radical activist and everything, she sounds like she was an all-around bitch of a human being. So back in June, she was speaking on police brutality and she introduced herself as Jessa Bombalera. She adds that I want to call out all these white New Yorkers who waited for hours with us to be able to speak and then did not yield their time for black and brown indigenous New Yorkers. So not only was she lying about being black, but even when she was living her life like she was just at a giant masquerade all the time, at a big blackface party, she's over here taking this preachy approach that white New Yorkers should yield their time for black people. Like, no. Shut the fuck up, okay? We want to fight for equal rights and we want to fight for systemic change. We don't want to fight for this condemning white people for not giving up their time as if because you're black, you're owed time. Give me a fucking break. That's ridiculous. So it sounds like even back in her activist years, she was just a piece of crap. And now she's coming clean about being an even bigger piece of crap because this entire shtick was a huge facade. As you can imagine, those who knew this woman have announced that they're pretty upset. Someone said that they're dazed and still processing my emotions, but mostly I feel betrayed, foolish, and in many ways gaslit, which is true. I mean, I think that might fall under the definition of gaslighting to a degree. Even this woman's sister-in-law said that they found out from the media that she was lying about being black. So it's not like she was just living this world of deception for her public image. She was doing this even with her own family. And as you can imagine, for the time being, she has, thankfully, lost her position at George Washington University. They've said that she will not teach this upcoming semester. So Jessica Krug allegedly did admit in this Medium post that she did experience some traumatic childhood events and had some mental health problems, but she says that that's not really an excuse for her behavior. So it is really disgusting and scummy that this woman lied. However, I do think that it's good that at least she's coming clean about this. At least she's admitting this. And she is really experiencing the blowback of telling the truth. Like, the amount of cognitive dissonance you need to have to operate like this, especially for such a long time, for taking money, for publishing books, for taking a position as a teacher of African American history, for letting these lies go on for so long. I think that this woman probably does have some serious unaddressed issues. I am glad that she came forward about this. Hopefully she can get some help. Hopefully she can stop lying about her own identity, but I don't think she should be condemned for this forever. I think she should get the help she needs and then just go live a regular life. Go live a happy life as a white suburban Kansas City girl. All right? Change your name to Dorothy. Get a little dog named Toto. Run around. It'll be great. Just embrace your inner Kansas, okay? Truth be told, Wizard of Oz is literally all I know about Kansas. So if that's not like your guys' culture over there, then sorry. Thank you everybody for watching. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this is actually a real example of cultural appropriation? And what do you think should happen to this woman? Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all soon. Peace.